There's no plans in making this video. There's a lot of discussion and ranking videos, especially in the battle cats community. And it's fun reading people's opinions and giving reasons on why such cats are better or worse than others. And it's no different with the comments I read with the hot takes I speak in my ranking. Though, there's been a recent talk and a specific take from my previous video. The take being that Cyberpunk is a better unit than Manic Eraser. This resulted in many comments saying how Manic Eraser surpasses Cyberpunk. This allowed me to inspect the two cats closer than just the surface and make this video to explain with confidence on why I believe Cyberpunk is a better unit than Craze Tank. It's best to begin this video by figuring out the role of these two units. We begin with Manic Eraser, which is straightforward. He's a cheap yet extremely tanky Meatshield who will go in the front line and take 25,500 damage if leveled at 50, with his cheap cost of 150, fast speed of 20, and short recharge time of just 2 seconds. He easily becomes the best generalist Meatshield of all time. On the other side of the ring, we have Cyberpunk, with a super backlanded crowd controller, having an insane standing range of 1,200. He has a long distance, giving him a 400 inner piercing and an 800 blind spot. His biggest selling point is his slow, in which when talented, he can guarantee a slow to non-metal for 50 to 60% uptime, allowing him to easily become the best non-Uber crowd controller. You can already tell that these two are extremely good, though both have different roles, with one being a Meatshield and the other a crowd controller. I want to focus on Manic Eraser first. He is the unit that I'm trying to take the crown that many give to. With Manic Eraser being the best Meatshield, you're basically going to use him everywhere. We can agree on that. He's one of the few Meatshields that can not only take a hit from some of the stronger enemies and not get knocked back, but also rush in. Something that other Meatshields wish they can do. You will use Manic Eraser way more than other super rares, so he's better, right? No. Listen, just because you use something more doesn't make it better. That's why we categorize units under the categories of Specialist and Generalist. Generalists being units that are brought on regularly like Manic Mohawk, while Specialists are units used in specific stages, mostly narrowed down to a trait, genre of enemies, or peon amount. An example being Sniper the Recruit, who's a bad unit to bring when there's a lot of weak peons that will protect the big boss, though a must bring when there isn't many. Neither of the two categories are better or worse, it just justifies why units that are used less can still be better than ones that are used more. The thing with Manic Eraser though is that he's a Meatshield, a genre of units that you have to bring in nearly every stage, and with his stats being the best from all of the generalist Meatshields, it's basically normal to bring him with no second thought, as you'll always need Meatshield for your stage, and he'll do that job well. Each stage, you adjust your loadout so that every unit has a role. All the while, Manic Eraser just sits in the back unmoved. This is where I believe many people develop the idea that Manic Eraser is the best super rare, as the others are switched in and out. Though the thing is, you don't keep him because, oh, he has to be in the loadout. Without him, I can't beat the stage. You keep him because he's a safe bet Meatshield against the enemies in the stage. He's just filling his role as a Meatshield along with the others to allow your units to do their job. Speaking of which, your typical Meatshields do an amazing job in protecting the front line, but what happens when a specific trait pushes a bit too much? That's when you bring a specialist Meatshield, one who strives heavily in their specific trait. You normally replace one of the Meatshields for the specialist one. For many, they'll replace any Meatshield besides Manic Eraser, which is correct as he's the best one of them all. And there you go, you beat Multiversal Studios with Shigong and Dual Erasers. Live peaks here. Now from the three Meatshields, which did you think did the best job? Obviously your Shigong. If you said normal Eraser, get out. Shigong's the best one as he fits perfectly into the stage. He's the reason why the zombies didn't push as far as they have. I mean, he does have 3 times the effective health of a level 50 Manic at just level 30. Same should go for all traits. A relic stage, let's say an ancient curse. From your Dual Erasers and Primordial Cat, who did the best job here? An angel stages such as Lord of the Abyss, Robin is clearly the best. An Aku stage, your Matador, Cactus, Cone Cat are better than Manic Eraser. He is still a nice Meatshield as he rushes in and tanks 25,000 health. But the truth is, he can beat nearly all stages with or without him. Of course, I don't want to take his real credit that he deserves. There are some traits such as Alien and Black where the specialist Meatshield may be a bit too weak, or the unit who's a specialist against a trait is earned way later on or rare to find. So he's a good helper in those traded stages, but for many traits and genre of enemies, Manic Eraser just becomes a filler Meatshield, most of the time becoming the least useful unit in your loadout. You can beat an Angel stage without Manic Eraser, but you can't beat an Angel stage without Ramen. I have to give the man credit, it's generally impressive for a unit to always stay in your loadout, though can its frequent use be the main pillar on why he's the best super rare, with even some saying he's the best unit? What about more difficult stages rather than filler legend stages? Did he use him frequently in advent stages where every unit matters? Gimmicky stages such as floor 30. There are definitely moments where he is recommended on difficult stages, though he never goes by himself. It's always him with a specialist or him with other Meatshields, meaning that though he does play the best role in Meatshielding, he can't do it by himself. And I've tested stages where Manic Eraser strives heavily. Let's take a look at one of the first stages where Crazy Crazed Tank strives heavily in. For a third, Crazed Tank seems to be the perfect role in this stage, especially at level 20 since he manages to tank 4 hits from Crazed Axe. So do we need him? Here's my loadout, all with obtainable levels and all, and boom, done. We got Crazed Axe before Crazed Tank. We've sunk in where no man has. Here's a list of some of the more difficult and big point of the game stages where you normally bring in Crazed Tank / Manic Eraser. I've played and beaten them with uberless loadouts that did not contain Crazed Tank and adjusted all loadouts so that they're not only appropriate for the stage, but also have the right levels and obtainable units that the average player will have when doing the stage. As you can clearly see, these stages can still be done with your typical recommended units and replacing Manic Eraser with just another Meatshield in your roster. I'm gonna stop the editing here because I need to talk to you. You need to start realizing that your Manic Eraser is just another Meatshield along with the other ones you brought onto. You didn't beat a whole new world because of Manic Eraser's amazing Meatshielding. You beat it because your courier was pushing heavy. You didn't beat Inferno Tower Floor 44 because of Manic Eraser's amazing Meatshielding. You beat it because of Kankan and Bahamut's amazing damage power. You didn't beat level 20 Horopotamus because of Manic Eraser's amazing Meatshielding. You beat it because Seafarer and Cyberpunk crowd controlled incredibly. Manic Eraser may be able to push you towards victory just a bit in every stage, but the other units you specifically brought onto the stage are pushing boulders to victory compared to Eraser's Pebble. Now why am I saying all of this? Why did I beat these hard stages in which Manic Eraser is a recommended Meatshield, yet I refuse to use him? Am I doing this to show that you should stop using Manic Eraser and that the other 75-cent Meatshields are better? Hell no! You should still use Manic Eraser in just about any stage. He still does his job good along with the other Meatshields you bring. Just know that his conveniency as a Meatshield doesn't justify the claim of him being the best super rare, let alone unit. He's just the best filler Meatshield to bring, and though Meatshielding is an important concept throughout the entirety of the game, it requires a team or a specialist who can strive in said stage. So can that title really get you far? I'd genuinely like to hear your thoughts on that. Alright, now that I've given my explanation on why I believe Manic Eraser isn't the best super rare, the question still holds. Who's the best super rare? I mean, obviously by the title, I believe Cyberpunk is the best, and I'll try to show why, don't worry. As mentioned, Cyberpunk is a super backlander crowd controller, which when talented has a guaranteed 50 to 60% uptime of flowing non-metals, with a 400 enter pierce and an 800 blind spot, meaning that he has a standing range of 1200. For a unit who's an amazing crowd controller, his usage throughout the game is extremely weird. You ask 10 different players how often do you use Cyberpunk, and everyone will put out a different answer. That's when it ringed on me. Though Cyberpunk has amazing crowd controlling abilities, he shouldn't be used as your generalist crowd controller. He should be used as your emergency crowd controller. Cyberpunk is a difficult unit to replace. You take his role as a crowd controller at face value, you'll have many other crowd controllers who you believe may perform a better job than him. And honestly, you're correct. Why bring in Cyberpunk on a floating / angel stage when you can bring in Sanso? Sure, he doesn't have a guaranteed slow, though his uptime is so high that realistically he'll be slowing them longer than Cyberpunk. Though what if he gets outranged by an angel / floating, or maybe a unit outside of those traits? What's the next decision? Let's take a look at an example similar to this. Revenge of the Red Sky. Sanso would slow the heavy pushing Angel Gories, though due to slip near in the perfect cyclone, he would get distracted heavily doing so. Some people are lucky enough to have Ubers that can fit perfectly in this stage, and it works amazingly for them. But what about for the majority? That's when Cyberpunk shines. He's your last resort. Simply cyber stacking at the beginning of the stage, and you can turn that 50 to 60% uptime to literally 100. And there we go, you just slowed every enemy on the stage permanently. His range of 1200 and having a guaranteed area slow for half the time is something that literally no other unit can say. It's so weird how people view his 800 blind spot as a weakness when it's literally what makes him amazing. No other unit like Cyberpunk is easier to stack at the beginning of stages, as almost no enemy has a range bigger than 800, allowing him to not hit the base due to killing enemies. He doesn't behave like a super rare, he behaves like an Uber, and that's why his usage is unique for every player. Someone countering a specific trade already have an Uber in mind to bring, but to the ones that aren't lucky to have those good Ubers, Cyberpunk can be our Uber carry. Some of y'all have to realize that a good amount of players don't have the Ubers you have. They can't freeze angel backlanders like your Momotaro, nor hit aliens without getting hit themselves like Saki. If you have a collage of Ubers, that's probably why you don't use him as often. But for most of us, he can be our one and only crowd controller that can take care of those annoying trait lists, or slow that annoying heavy pushing boss, or hit those backlanders that no other may reach. Cyberpunk is the emergency crowd controller, and that's a title that no other unit can replace. But hey, what do I know about this game? I'm just a guy that animates dumb cats, hates listening to his voice, and accidentally leaves in many repeated lines. Perhaps this video didn't change your mind one single bit, and if it didn't, I'd like to hear your thoughts on why. As said, I love reading people's opinions, but yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Take care and stay optimistic.